So,
Um,
how do you approach a problem in a new industry where you're not an expert?
that's a good question. I think over the course of my, call it sort of business career, I've worked on a whole bunch of totally non sequitur type industries and jobs and things. I started working as an industrial engineering consulting, like a consultant, right? And then I moved into Amazon robotics. So I focused more on logistics and robotics and automating tasks. And then decided, you know what, let's focus actually on international aviation and how do you build supply chains internationally, and then left that all behind. And now I'm working more honestly as a software development technical product manager, not using my mechanical engineering degree maybe this much. And so it's a good question because I find in each of the different roles that I've had sort of the core underlying is people need to solve big, hard problems, right? And so I find oftentimes, especially coming from San Francisco and looking there, people want to start with the solution. Here's this cool tech that I've made. Here's this really cool thing. Here's AI. Here's ML. Here's LLMs. You're starting with a solution, and people are then trying to sort backwards and find what problems does it solve. I actually think the reverse mindset tends to, from my experience, be more helpful in terms of delivering results that last and that people really sort of pay attention to, which is how can you really truly define the problem that you're trying to solve, and whether that's through going through some of the, I'll call them more fixed mindsets of defining problems. There's you have the 5 whys, you have some of the like Six Sigma type problem solving methodologies, or you could go about it on your own, use your own framework, really getting a crisp understanding of what I need to solve first before you go into actually solving it, I feel like is the right first step, at least. I think I answered the question.
Yeah, I think you did. Which I think is important. The context you gave about all things that you've been doing. Um, yeah, and I think that's a great way to solve it. I mean, there are going to be, the way that I see it is, there are always going to be problems, right? In any industry, in our capacity to solve them with the tools that we have. You were talking about your degree. I haven't graduated from college, to be honest, but but I've been doing software engineering for 30 years or so. So, but that gives you like the basic tools, right? You're a generalist, right? You have general knowledge of everything, right? On the particular field, right? But what I'm trying to convey is this idea of, well, now that you have these tools, then you can go and approach a company, an industry or whatever. And then you see a problem, then with the tools that you have, how can I solve the problem?
Well, and what I think is interesting in the world that we're moving towards right now, with everybody's favorite buzzword, with Gen AI and ChatGPT and all of these different folks that are out there, um, solutions are getting to be cheap. You can go and make something overnight, right? Vibe coding was the Merriam-Webster's word of the year, right? Which, like, having tried it a couple times myself, you go in, you say, "Hey, make me a script that's going to, I don't know, open up a new web page, design a website, and da 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 da," and you click enter, and it's like magic, right? It just happens. But that doesn't mean that the website that I just made up to you right now is useful whatsoever. It doesn't mean anybody's going to go there. They're going to pay anything for it, all these things, right? Solutions are cheap, but is it the right solution? Are you actually solving a problem? Is anybody going to be willing to pay you for what you've just vibe coded? I think that's the world that we're moving towards.
Right. This reminds me of a story I used to joke with a friend of mine back in college. And I said, I have an answer. I have an answer for any question. And I would say, yes. And we would just joke about that. But it's this idea of, I have a solution. You can put whatever answer you want, right? So
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
with you. The Gen AI is great for a lot of things, but there are a few things that we miss, right? Like one is that doesn't have it has a limited context and cannot abstract the solution, right? When you're building software, you're abstracting, right? You're taking a problem in the real domain, and then you figure out how can you code it in a way that represents what the real domain is going on, right? So it can provide, garbage code, and it's going to work based on the behavior, but try to make one single change, right? A very little change, and it's going to be a mess. Yeah, is a reason why we don't code in binary, right?
Yeah. Well, and
So yeah, go ahead.